Hey, what's up, guys? I want to make a video today that is going to be a little bit extreme on the dark side. Okay, has to do with depression and suicidal thoughts, a little bit on the extreme. So let's get into it. Um, First of all, this video I'm being encouraged to make by 4 people. 3 of you, you know who you are. You have been talking to me on Facebook, and it's so interesting because all 3 of you usually talk about different things to do with SEO and business. This is the first time all 3 of you are talking about the same thing, and it happens to be the same topic, which is depression. So this is the first time I'm disclosing you guys. I mean, not your names, obviously, but the fact that if you've been talking to me on Facebook on depression, you know that there's other 2 people who have been doing the same time, same thing. So I'm going to touch on this because it's super interesting why this happens. Touch on this further down in this video. But the fourth person is actually a very close friend of mine, who is the person who's on the extreme side with suicidal thoughts. So he's suffering a bit more than us, right? Us, on the other hand, meaning the other 3 guys who's messaging me. And considering myself, I think I am myself going through a minor depression right now. And hence, I want to make this video now instead of always waiting until I get out and then reflect back. I want to make this video while I'm going through it, right? So let's get into it, guys. Start with extreme shit. Suicide. Now, guys, everything I'm about to talk about, I have a lot of experience in. Maybe not suicidal thoughts as much, thank God, but I have a lot of experience in being depressed. I have touched on it before that my default state is not optimism. I'm not a hunky-dory, skies bright, glasses full, all day type guy. It's one of my challenges and it is one of my strengths, right? The fact is that for the longest time, I don't get a break from myself. No matter what is happening in the outside world that I'm getting, maybe achieving, I have certain standards for myself. If it's not met, I'm just not happy. Which is why I'm so, it's partly why I'm in this journey, right? Is a lot of times this is not, it's not uncommon. You become an entrepreneur because you're just sick and tired of having a certain lifestyle and you don't give in, right? You're struck by it over and over again, and you find yourself to be hard to you find yourself hard to bullshit to, at least in my experience, right? I have a very difficult time bullshitting myself, meaning I can never be like, oh, hey, all this stuff is happening bad, and you fucked it up, but hey, at least this is good. My mind would be like, no, shut the fuck up, this is messed up. Like, you fucking figure this shit out, and fucking, you have to rock this. Like, if you want to be happy again, you have to be winner, period. And that's my mentality, right? It's the reason why I am so big on day-to-day happiness, day-to-day things, day-to-day, the progression, the feeling of excitement, feeling daily excitement in your life. Because if it's not exciting as you're going through it, it's fucking, I don't even know how you're going to make it. Okay. um I'll touch on that as well, right? It might not be exactly what you guys thinking. I was more excited when I was broke than at this very point in time. The most exciting time I had in the last year or two was that period of 2 weeks when I was getting 3 sales back to back. Fucking pure excitement. I was on fire, right? I'm talking about those days where it doesn't have to be business, it doesn't have to be thing, but it has to be something that you feel worthwhile living for every day. Okay, so I'll touch on this. Let's get into suicidal thoughts. So you are in a position that you are thinking about killing yourself. Okay, meaning everything that you know so far, all the experiences that you had that you can remember since you were born, caused this entire thing to no exist intentionally. So mentioning the first things, obviously I can't know what is getting you down. Your circumstances, is to your own. Your factors are to your own. I can't know those things. And more importantly, I can't know also what you think is getting you down, which a lot of times will be the more important than you guys might think, right? Um, but so what I can share is common denominators that have always helped me, no matter how down I felt throughout my life, right? My biggest depressions happened after I came to America. Not bashing all the culture, though it probably had it played a part, but probably it has to a lot to do with the time, right? I came early 20s. I mean, yeah, late teens. But the point is, I came in a point where the challenges that came aligned with the environment, probably, right? School is over. You're going to go through fucking hard shit like you are supposed to in your early 20s. The challenges of figuring yourself, finding who you are, things like that. And anyways, so first things first, guys, some basic 101s on depression. You should know by now that your inner take, right? Your mood is not dictated by what happens externally. Like that's just if you don't know that by now, that means you're just like you maybe haven't spent enough time in depression. Right? You probably didn't have enough episodes of ups and downs to be like, oh yeah, fuck. Like I know that for sure now that those are not poetry. The inner, outside what happens is not what causes the mood. Your mood is dictated by your perspective of what happens outside. Boom. Go research it if you don't understand that, and that's it. That's 101. So understand that this is not going to be a div video because that is like 101. So let's go to class 202 now. So having that said, since we already know that, the next thing I'd like to talk about with these kind of extreme things, suicidal thoughts, starts with the idea that you have to understand this perspective. That in philosophy, in my understanding, of overall what I've come to believe now of our existence here, is something to do with this, like 2 to 3 things that are happening at the same time, which allows us to experience consciousness the way we do. One is the body, our sensations of how we literally feel. 2 is this thing we called mind, this tool which is basically the greatest search engine ever, right? It categorizes the most recent thoughts, and the most recent thoughts that rank the highest in your mind is going to be the ones with a few bars, such as the biggest factors, meaning most emotionally strong, close to you, has the biggest what your values light in. You get it? Like, think about it. This is what Google is trying to be, right? But we have it in our head. Your thoughts, when you close your eyes and you lay down, all the thoughts that are coming in, you don't choose the thoughts to come in, right? You can, if you could get good at meditation, you can calm them down and be at peace. But most people, over almost 100% of the population, is having thoughts all the time, and they're to do with what they feel the most emotional about and what's most recent happening in their life, or what they perceive to be coming the most in the next stage of their life, right? They're going to work, they're thinking what's going to happen at work, all that shit, right? So coming back to it, these 3 things pretty much, right? Body, mind, and then there's the soul, the silent watcher of both of those 2 things, which can kind of just exist separate from them, but watch them both together. And a lot of times is purely where our let's say, you could say, passion, value comes from, like who we are. Maybe that thing is dictated by some other kind of algorithm, man, which we will find out in Universe 2.0. But let's say for now, it's that thing comes from our ancestors, just to make things simple, right? The summary of a dice that's rolled, and the dices are an accumulation of the 10,000 souls that lived before us, which had sex down the road, and then now here we are. Let's go with that. Okay, fuck. Already 10 minutes, oh my god. So these 3 things together exist at the same time: mind, body, soul. And when we think about things like killing ourselves, know that we are only judging from one of them, and we're judging the two others from one of them, and that is the mind. Every time I was very depressed, I know it's a mind thing, and it's very well known again. It's a mind thing. You think of these things, right? Things are happening, you're feeling things, but your perception of what is happening, of what displays, of how you value it, is how you're, what you end up feeling, right? Your perception of it. And if you're depressed at this moment, what you're feeling, your perception of it is bad. You're disappointed at whatever is happening in your life, whatever that factor is, right? Now you see what I did. No matter what your factor is, it will fall into this category, right? Your perception of whatever is going on is bad right now because you're not satisfied, you're not feeling happy about how things are going. So the first thing to just knock it out of the park, that there should be no question about this thought ever coming in place ever again in your life, is the thought of killing yourself. Why the fuck would you kill the body, which has always been there for you, right? It's more like a primitive vehicle that has always been there to cater to whatever the mind wants, whatever sick thoughts the mind wants to do, whatever the great adventure mind wants to take. The body has always been there. You tell it to move, it moves. You tell it to go, it goes. It's always been there. It's like a pet, right? So why kill this pet? You don't. It's not part of it. What you want to kill is the part of you which you want to change and not being able to. The part of you that you know is bringing you down, that you know that you can do better, but every time you don't. You don't take action. You don't do something about it. You just let it bring you down, and then things change, seasons change, you get back up again, and since you don't take action while you're in there or in your neutral stage or your up stage, then you're more likely to come back in that stage again, right? A lot of us keep drinking the Kool-Aid long enough to feel like there's no stage. It's just that is the thing, and we are depressed, and we just keep staying in our depression. And guys, like I said, I've been there. Trust me when I say this. I mean, I can consult on this, I believe. I have experienced entire LSD trips, hallucinogens I've used on just this topic. Okay? And a lot of the things that were revealed to me in those experiences have been the things I'm sharing, right? So it's not just poetry. When you think about killing yourself, it is because of a mind thing, right? Understand that you are somewhat in the right track. You want to kill that part of you which is just sick and tired of not being able to make a change, make a thing happen that you know you can do. Because if you deep down didn't know there's any way you can fix it or solve it or come forth of it, I believe that it wouldn't actually bring you down. You'd find a way to come across it. If it's something to do that you can change, you'd evolve to a point to understand that, hey, that's out of my spec. I'm going to move on and alter the factors in life that I can alter. All right, guys, had to take a break. I don't know why, but moving on. The next thing I want to share with you is another perspective. Another thing is a bit more a bit more has to do with things you can implement, but it's more another mindset. Okay, and that is to understand that depression is normal. I know if you have been trying to find answers online or whatever, trying to understand shit, it's one of those things that pisses you off. When the text tells you depression is a normal thing to go through, fuck you, you don't know what I'm going through. But understand that this is a normal stage. In our society, in our time, in entrepreneurship, the whole space of digital marketing, entrepreneurship as a whole, everything is up and up and up. Go get this, make shit happen, make moves, always be rising, right? Always aggression, forward. Which is where, although it is where I would like to be 99% of my fucking time, there's gonna be times when you come down, right? The universe is not linear. Okay, understand this shit. Like, I have to, like, I try not to, but I have to share shit that I clearly learned from hallucinogens, right? The universe is not linear. Like, time is not linear, right? Don't you think that we understand, we get okay with gravity within hours of being born in this planet, but the whole time we go through, we can't even understand what time it is. Like, the time is not linear, right? Why don't we know what time it is? Why do we have to check a clock? We've been living in this thing the whole time. Apparently it is every 60 minutes, so it's incrementally the same. But then why do we need a clock to know it? It's not, shit's not linear. Maybe one plane we can clock it with a clock, or pin it with a clock, with a device. But everything, all this shit is happening. Seasons are changing. We are living through dynamic planes, right? For us to think, living through these planes, and then being a entity that is multi-dimensional, and then have a standard that is always linear, to be like happy and up and up and up, is stupid. It's just plain stupid, right? Seasons change, so do we. Long story short, okay, you are gonna go through downs. Now, to start sharing a few things, common denominators that you can do to help yourself, it starts with letting yourself go through the stage when you are feeling down, okay? Because a lot of times what was happening for me, like, once I started finding out the formulas of how to get out of depression, the formulas I'm going to share with you in a bit, before, what I was doing is I was jumping to the formulas too fast, right? I wouldn't let myself even go through the depression, because I found out a way to get out of it. So as soon as I started to feel down, I would go jump to those, and then in the end, it would not fully be right? I'd feel better, but it would be like kind of half-assed, right? So understand that it's normal, and let yourself go through the stage. Take the day off, take the goddamn week off if you need to. Just kill time without holding any standard for you to do anything else. Just being neutral. Go for walks. This is something that always helps. Go where there's nature. Go where there's large trees with large bush of fucking leaves and shit, and maybe big bodies of water, right? I don't know why that helps, but it does, right? I've tested it. I go to this forest that's not too far from me. It's this forest in the autumn. There's red leaves across the floor. Looks like one of those pictures, on fucking Google and shit. It's beautiful. There's water next to it. I call it just the forest. I call it the forest. I go out there and I talk out loud, just contemplate of what's going on. Other people call it the park. I don't like to call it that. Usually when I go, I hope there's not kids playing around in the swings and shit. So I like it when it's like that shit's not going on. I like to think of it as fucking lost in nature, just me and myself talking to myself. Shit helps, right? Don't expect it to come back on the walk back, like, yeah, I just feel great again. Don't push yourself to feel like, oh yeah, this should have made me feel better because I was in nature. Just go spend time with yourself. Come back, you just killed some time. Some time passed by. It's a happening. You just experienced it without an expectation of, did it progress? Did I progress at least getting out of depression so I can go back to my house and progress in my business or my work or whatever else the fuck I do? No, nothing had to. You just spend some time with yourself, and that's it. And that's all it was intended to be. So once you understand that and you can do that, now let's talk about some formulas. Certain things that I have seen across the board every single time work 100% of the time for me. To the point where sometimes these things, when I'm thinking about doing it, when I'm feeling the most down, I get pissed off at looking at the answer, right? Meaning, what I'm about to share with you, it works so well that when I'm feeling the most depressed, when I think about that, okay, I know what to do, I'm almost pissed off, like, fuck, I know this is a head thing. I know this is not really like me being that down. Anyways, this is what works, guys. In this sequence, number one, I think I shared this before, like years ago. Cleaning your room. There's something about your room, the place you are, sitting in, or where your workplace. I mean, my workplace is my room, right? So your room is the extension of your mind, right? If you realize this when you're alone. I mean, I live with my assistant. She's my assistant from 9 to 5, becomes my girlfriend after 5 p.m. But when my girlfriend is away from the house, my room feels different. It feels like I talk aloud more, I talk out more. I just keep talking to myself, whispering to myself the thoughts that I'm having. So it's a different thing, right? Meaning that room is a factor. If your room is messed up, messy, has like food laying around all over the place, that you need to clean dishes and shit, do that thing first. Shut your brain off. Don't think about anything. Don't contemplate anything. Shut your brain off and just clean the shit out of your room. Organize everything like you have OCD. Boom, done. Number two, go and achieve some kind of exertion, right? You can call it exercise, you can call it jogging, whatever it is, it helps if it's aerobic, jump rope, jog, run, swim, anything that's repetitive, anything that doesn't have to have stop and go. The reason why gym doesn't work out, I mean, like, lifting weights doesn't work out as well, is because while you're waiting for the muscles to recover for that minute or two before you do your next set, you get to tap into your thoughts again. But if you're just running, it's kind of, you can be lost in the music or lost in the sound of the world, sound of whatever's around you, and you're just rhythmically at it, which works a lot better. The point is, do that aerobic until you sweat. Sweat like a maniac. You have to sweat. In my thing, you have to reach exertion. For me, it's hard for me to sweat, so it's perfectly set with my body, right? If I go hard enough that I'm starting to sweat, I know that I reached exertion. For other people, I think you sweat pretty easy. Maybe a lot of people sweat very easy. I don't know if you sweat, you also feel exertion. The point is, you have to reach that point where you feel lightness. You feel that runner's high, as they call it. Okay. Once you reach that and you sweat, take a cold shower. I hate cold showers. It's one of those things that is talked about a lot in this kind of space of getting out of the body that I don't like to do, but I do it if I'm depressed. Right after that run, I go and I take a shower, okay? Shower, feel the water. All of this is a lot to do with being present, right? This is why meditation helps. If you have been meditating, all across this time, you were going to be a little bit better at being present. While you're running, you can feel the moves, feel the momentum, the shift of how it feels like to go through air or shit like that. It's better if you do it outside. Shower. Third thing, okay? And then you come back and you meditate. 4 things. This is the golden formula that has worked for me ever since I started doing it, okay? Guys, if you do this, I can promise you'll be in a better place, period. I can promise it. If you understand from the very depth, from the depth of your understanding, from the lowest point that, hey, this whole thing I'm thinking about with suicide or whatever, if you're in that position, you think like, this is not me. I'm just contemplating on something that's thought about from the mind and from the thoughts, but I'm much bigger than this, and this is just I understand this. It's a part of me that I'm disgusted with, that I want to get rid of, and it's time I take some fucking action and get rid of it, okay? So I'm making that commitment, and that's that, okay? Next thing, you take your time and let yourself go through the stage of depression that you're okay to feel with, and then you go through a ritualistic formula where you clean your room, you go out and you move until you sweat, then you shower and you come back and you attempt to even meditate. You will wake up in a room that's clear, and at the very least, you will come back to a person who will be able to look at themselves and be like, I am a person who is willing to do these, who was even willing to do these things to make myself better. And you will feel better, because every one of those things is designed to make you feel better, right? But the fact that you take the action to even do those things is going to be a plus point in of itself. It will bring you to a neutral position. It will bring you from a place of power. It might even bring you to anger. Sometimes it does that. I feel that and I'm like, fuck. You got me this down, these kind of stuff, or now let's go. Now you are now it's you. Now the game is on. Now it's not you drowning in yourself and stuff like that and don't know what the fuck is going on. Now you have yourself and you have you backing yourself up. Now let's see what's on the fucking table. What is it? A fucking sale I can't get? What is it? A client pissing me off? What is it? What the fuck is it? Let's see who it is. Let's take this shit on. Now you have yourself, okay? You can do this no matter how far depth you're in, you can go through this and you will come in this position. All right, guys? I hope this helps.